are not able to express their opinion, their idea clearly, even in Ukrainian, let alone English. So, yeah, it is. But there is nothing impossible that is possible to develop. And there is a tremendous number of different materials, like books and textbooks and articles and teaching techniques, starting from the theory of communication and ending by technologies you can use to manipulate people. So that is a huge, huge challenge. And as with any challenge you face, like for example writing a dissertation, something like that, when you think, wow, that's a huge piece of work, what do? We divide it into separate tasks, something more achievable. So to do that with communicative competence, as it is called, or interpersonal competence, we can divide it into 3 parts. Any competence consists of 3 main ingredients: knowledge, skills, and personality features. So, speaking about knowledge, each of us can remember our course in stylistics or communication theory, and each of you, I'm sure, have seen that or different version of the diagram, where there is a speaker, when there is a listener. We usually show it to our students as well. So who is responsible for the effect of communication? For that, the message comes through. Speaker?
Both.
Both, exactly. Both. And that is the first piece of knowledge we have to bring to our students. That it is not enough to be able to speak. Listening is also a skill you have to teach. So that's the first piece of knowledge. Both the speaker and the listening are responsible for the result of communication. So there are some elements of the skills which develop us as a speaker and which develop us as a listener. Let's imagine that I'm talking to you in some small talk on the coffee break, and I tell you it's summer, my son is visiting his grandmother, which is true, and me and my husband are having a great time now when our child is not around. Actually, your idea of good time might be totally different from my idea of good time, which is like that, what we did the first day our child left. Okay, I'll do it in darkness. Yeah. So, the second piece of theory we have to give to our students is that what is said is not always what is heard. And that very often produces misunderstandings in interpersonal process. To be honest, many of us understand that when we say something, not necessarily and other people understand it that way. I have a quote which I love from some US government official, we will say it, call him. I know that you believe you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is what I meant. Quite good observation, but not so easy to get it from there. You have to concentrate a bit. So what we have to teach our students to make them more articulate, to make them clear speakers, is to use precise language and use simple language when they speak. Remember about who they are talking to. So today we are going to practice some activities, and the secret, the key to developing interpersonal skills is small group work and pair work in our class. I'm sure all of you use that. What is the class? Do you like it? Yeah. So tell me please, how do you divide your students into pairs?
As they are sitting sometimes.
As they sit. 1, 2.
1 to find someone who
Find
is.
someone, good.
In colors, as it was done today in the morning.
Those who have
Color cards.
blue eyes stand up, so you are
Okay. So I have my list too. I have my list too, so sometimes we draw lots. Sometimes I use cut-up pictures, find someone who, name tags. They love that one, by the way, when you write the name tags like Romeo, Juliet, Minnie, Mickey, okay, Tom and Jerry, yes. And you put it on the forehead. Have you ever played that game? Who am I? You are, and then you choose your pair. Improves speaking much. Cards with matching information like worded definition, sentence with the same meaning, synonyms or opposites, question answer, question response. I don't think I'm going to add some stress to the class and to make you yes, I will not. But still we are going to do some group work. Imagine we've already used cut-up pictures, you found each other, you take a seat. As a teacher, what should you remember? How would you deal with the following problem? You can see that there is one odd student.
You will be in charge of everything.
In charge.
Yeah. You will go from pair to pair, monitor their activity, do all necessary changes, and he will be in charge. He's the boss in the classroom.
That is good.
I say he's lucky to choose any pair.
Or you may become a partner of that person.
Or you can become a
A
partner.
silent viewer, the observer. Yeah.
As for me, I have some don'ts and yes, don't pair extra students up with yourself. Why? Because otherwise all the others will work without you watching, without you knowing what they are doing, and practice shows that usually they don't work if they don't feel control. So don't put students bigger than into group of 3. Don't put talkative with the quiet. That's what you know, and don't let students work in fixed pairs, which I'm afraid I've already let you do. So, coming back to the words, exact words, when we speak, remind them about that. Remind them that the ability to focus on what another person is saying is important. Well, I wanted to give another similar activity to training listening. I will not do that because it appeared it is difficult to distract you from that activity, but I will tell you the idea. So the same activity, but in this time, the person who is drawing can ask questions. Do you think it would be easier? Yes, much. In case, what questions would help?
W questions. W questions.
W questions, exactly. If we, I'm sure you've played in the childhood yes, no, and that's it. And it helps, but not much. So to focus on students of the skills of asking open questions, those that demand not one word, but longer answer. Well, so that is one set of the skills, but what we communicate with words is only 7% what we communicate. 38% we communicate based on our voice. So voice training is also an important aspect of interpersonal strategies the listener is using to demonstrate, to show the feedback. So you can do the same. Imagine that you are the students. this is the video which shows two main characters, a girl and a boyfriend. The boy is choosing the PlayStation. You know what it is. And there are two choices and he cannot decide between those two. So he's discussing that dilemma with his girlfriend. And to do that now, just to illustrate to you the kind of activity you can use. So, research says, why do we do that? First of all, that is practice of the way we speak. Secondly, there is a research that demonstrates that listeners perceive the voice the better, the lower it is. Yeah. Also, there is such a thing in phonetics as Russian English. Have you ever heard? That is about, not about pronouncing the sounds again, but about intonation. So, Russian English, that is flat English. And reminding our students that it's a good idea to make it not flat is important. So, to speak lower, but not flat, to be heard. The next aspect, the next idea, the next activity I would like to demonstrate to you, but again, I'm not sure. No. So what I do, I just tell you what I do. I print out the cards for the group of 3 students. Usually it's better to make them different colors so that they're not confused. I give some tasks to tell, for example, if we're planning some summer vacation. So that is for one of you first. The second was, sorry, you are not going to tell anything, but please do not tell anyone. Your task is to listen carefully, look into the speaker's eyes, but do not say anything. That is the task of one. The second and the task of the third is, sorry, you are not going to tell anything, but please do not tell anyone. Your task is to listen carefully to your partner, but do not look the speaker into the eyes. So, when we start talking, one is telling. Just imagine one is speaking, and those who are listening, one is staring at you, not saying a word, and another is maybe asking something but doesn't look at you at all. You realize how important are such aspects as speech. Eye contact, yes. Also, if I look at you but I don't say nothing,
Feedback.
Feedback, response, exactly. Response is crucial when we are talking about listening, and in social psychology there is the buzzword, active listening. I'm sure that you've heard of that. So we have to be active, and there is a dilemma of listening. When the speaker speaks in normal rate, the speed is about 150 words per minute. But our brain can process about 1,000 words per minute, which leaves us a lot of time to fill that empty spaces with some other words. What do we usually do while we are listening?
Daydreaming.
Sorry?
Daydreaming.
Yes.
Checking emails.
Checking emails.
Talking to neighbors.
Talking to neighbors. But imagine there is no telephone, nothing, just you, me, you. There are 2 of us. Process the information. Yes, I have one scene which I often catch myself on and try to control myself when I listen to another person and I've heard something which I find interesting or I don't like. I try developing the argument. So you're wrong, I prove it, and I'm not listening. Probably the person said already that she or he has changed the mind. but I distracted from that. So our students and some adult people too are just amazingly unable to listen, to focus on the other person. So again, when we do some speaking activities, it is important to remind them how important it is to make yourself focused. Of course, there are some other techniques we can use to make them focused. For example, I'm sure you've used such a kind of activity as chain story, snowball story, or answer the questions, so on. Such activities are quite predictable. So when the student catches the pattern, this just count, okay, I'm going to answer this third, what can I say, and focusing on the other activity, not listening to answer, not listening to the others. What I do, I use real life objects to make it more spontaneous. Did you hear the saying that teaching is the only job when you bring things not to home but from home? Yeah, the same. So, I use a ball or a ball of yarn. I like the ball of yarn more, it's safer, not breaking something. So what do? I divide people into small groups. Small, I mean like 5, 6. I give some task to create a chain story, for example, and they have to throw the ball of yarn. Each one catches the thread, and then you can easily see how many times each person was speaking, because they're having that thread. Should be careful not to make it too long, because they can get stuck in that thread and you will not be able to get it back. But that makes them listen. For example, if I play the game like that is good, that is bad. For example, I tell you, today I am going to present on interpersonal skills. The next person who is speaking after me has to say, oh, that is good, because, and can finish, because I wanted to know about it more. Next person is going to say, that is bad, because, what could be the ending of the sentence?
Because I've heard about it.
It's a mess and a lot of noise when people are talking.
Okay, thank you very much. So, you see, it's difficult to predict where it is coming, because the next person is going to say, and that is good, because it means everyone is working if there is noise and mess. So, you cannot predict, and that's why students have to concentrate on what is being said. Such activities train their listening skills. Also, we talked about feedback. Feedback is important. In previous presentation, we talked about using different videos, and that those videos should be interesting for our students. So my students love one series, Big Bang Theory. Have you seen that? Yeah? If not, probably at least one episode would be useful, because many of them watch it. So I would like to show you an episode from that series. When I used to work in English Teaching Research Center, it was the end of the working day. Have you been there? We were standing at the reception, tired. The woman, she was Peace Corps, she was American, came, she said, enthusiastic, and she said, hello, I would like to bring back the books, and I also would like to ask, and she asked a question, and I was just standing and ending for her to finish, and in 30 seconds she says, do you speak English? Yeah, because feedback is important. So let's remind our student of that. Well, sorry, that is the video. Coming back to our that is Big Bang Series, Season 7, Episode 19, if you would like to use that in the future. And we move to the next. So, if remember about listening and take a Chinese. How to say it? Character, thank you. Character of the word listen, we can see different elements. Ears, which we already told our students to be focused on. We also talked about eyes. Eye contact is important. Undivided attention. There are also two more elements, heart and you, another person. And that's where we come to the personality features. Do you remember the three elements? Knowledge, skills, personality features. So there are many personality features which might affect the effectiveness of communication. But for me, being open, not judging, positive and assertive